Leave.
Leave.
Let's see how many spots.
Yeah.
Hi guys, we'll just let everyone connect in fully, and we'll kick off in just shortly as well. Hello Phil, how are you doing?
Hi, I'm all right, thanks. How are you?
Yeah, good. Thank you. Good. Thank you for joining us.
Oh, very welcome. Pleasure.
We'll taste our way through a few beers, and then we'll taste our collab as the fourth one, actually, if you don't mind, and then we'll sort of ask you some questions and things about the brewery and how it's going and everything else when we get there.
Sure.
Brilliant. Thank you. And so, like I say, we'll give it a few more seconds. There's a few just connecting in still. Just so you all know, you may have heard as you log in, it is being recorded. This one is going to go up on our YouTube afterwards as well. So you can watch it as many times as you like after that as well. But just some feedback we've had to put them up there so that they're more easily accessible for people later on as well, or if people miss them, of course, too. So with that, I think it looks like we're sort of all about connected in there. The first beer is going to be Paparahua. We're going to start with first. So we'll introduce ourselves and then we'll get onto that one. So yeah, so if you've got the first beer, as always, we'll talk our way through all of the beers that we've got in the club. There's no pressure to drink all of those beers at the same time or anything like that, especially as we've got some, we're getting up to 6.5% by the end as well. So take it at whatever pace you like. And now you can watch it back on YouTube afterwards. If you want to do it that way, you can skip back to those later down the line when you have your other beers as well. But firstly, welcome. Thank you all for coming in. I see some people, of course, that we've had in before, some new ones as well. So my name's James. I'm the export manager at Thornbridge Brewery. We've got Rebecca, our marketing manager. We've got Charlotte, our events and marketing coordinator. We've got Dom Metcalf, our sales and marketing director, on the line here as well. And we are very lucky to be joined by, we've got, as you may have noticed, we've got a couple of collaborations, or 3 in total. So Rivington are going to be joining us on next month when we do a return collab. So we'll have those guys there to talk. And this time around, we've got Michelle and Matt from Lakes Brew Co. And then we've also got Phil on the line here from Simple Things as well. So all of us are going to be talking through. We'll do a little bit about each beer as we go, and they'll introduce a little about the breweries too. So we'll tuck right in. We'll get started. As I mentioned, the first beer that we've got here, this one, the Paparahua Table in Maori, and this one with Rivington Brew Co. So fantastic brewery. As I said, we're doing 2 beers with them, so we'll be doing a return leg as well. But this one here is the starter. So this one they've brewed at their place. And as we'll tuck into, it's a nice, light, easy starting beer. And so you'll get a nice light color on it straight away. Being a table beer, that ABV is going to be nice and low and sessionable, and a good place for us to start this evening. And you're going to just start to get that kind of, these some nice big hops in here. Those tropical notes are going to come through. Not too much bitterness, just very soft and easy drinking as well. But I'll throw it over to Dom, our sales and marketing director, who was spearheading this, working with Rivington, just to tell us a little more about how this beer came about as well.
Cheers, James. I mean, this was a real simple one, to be honest with you. This was Alan, who's our field sales manager for Manchester, had been raving about Rivington for quite a while, and every time he'd come to the office, he'd drop off a couple of samples of their beers, and just got trying them and just thought, yeah, there's some great beer. I live just south of Manchester, and Rivington are obviously just north of Manchester, up in Lancashire, based out on a farm. I won't steal their thunder too much because they'll be on the chat next month. They were actually at the brewery today, so I met with the guys today doing the collab at our place. So that will be in the box next month, and we'll have them on next month's chat. So I'll let them give them the background to their brewery. But yeah, it was a real simple one. Just started seeing a lot more about their presence and what they were doing, and kind of like the ethos of where they are and what they do, and their beer tasted great. So it was just one of those where I kind of got in touch with them and said how about it. And I guess, as with quite often the case, Thornbridge is one of those breweries that people that wanted to get into brewing kind of looked up to years and years ago, and the guys kind of said, yeah, that'd be amazing, that'd be really cool. So yeah, we brewed a beer at their place, obviously this beer you're drinking now, and they're ours brewing today. So completely different styles in terms of what we've done. So Papa Rohua, being a table beer, these guys, they don't pull any punches when it comes to throwing the hops in. And I think there was a joke with Dom Driscoll, our brewer, about what they'd actually had to put into the brew and whether or not they're even going to be able to scrape it out. But yeah, it's a pretty thick beer. It's pretty juicy. Hopefully you guys enjoy it. It's a little bit of a step away from obviously what we do generally speaking, whereas the return leg is definitely something more down our route, I suppose.
Thank you, Dom. And we've had the questions starting to come in there so far. Hopefully we answered those ones about Rivington, but please feel free, if you want to shout your questions in, if you want to make use of the chat function, we'll be monitoring that throughout as well. So any questions you've got, just keep them coming. We'll answer them all as best we can as well as we work our way through. But hopefully everyone's enjoying that nice table beer to get started. As I say, nice, light, easy one. And then we've got a couple of our Thornbridge classics coming up as well. So we'll talk about first Hopton. So Hopton is bottle conditioned. You can see we've been doing this series of bottle conditioned beers this year, beers such as Lake Star, Lord Marples, and you'll see more of our bottled beers coming through in that format as well. For those of you who've joined us through lockdown, I waxed poetical about talking about the way this bottle condition, it brings to mind real cask beer. You get that nice head on it. You get that similar carbonation to a cask beer as well. So while pubs were closed, these were great. And now it's perfect just to have anytime I'm at home as well. So we'll start off with a Hopton. So this one coming in as an English pale ale. So very classic style. As we pour it out, you're going to get, there's a little bit of a orangey kind of character to it, just slightly. It's very light in color, but it's going to be not quite as light as all of our, maybe our Jaipur or something like that. You're going to get that head's going to have a nice retention around the top as well. Just a nice white head, a great carbonation. And then once you get into it, it's that English pale ale flavor. So there's Goldings hops that we're using for this. So there's a light kind of citrus in there. It's not overpowering. It's not in the same way, the big sort of American, New Zealand, Australian hops we use in a lot of other places, a little more subtle. So it's going to be that grassy, that lemon. And then as you go through, you're going to start getting a little kind of marmalade-y, slightly sweeter as well in the palate as you drink this one. But a really, hopefully a fantastic example of the English pale ale style, one we've done in cask for a number of years. And we always get some nice demand for it. And Hopton is actually a small village in Derbyshire. A lot of our brewery beer names are inspired by places around us in the Peak District in Derbyshire as well. And this is exactly the same too. So yeah, one of our Thornbridge classics for the first time in bottle. And I'm sure you'll see it out and about as well from there. But it was a nice one to bring back to do for the beer club. And hopefully, on the back of, we're trying some very different styles here as well, from the table beer, the amber ale next. And for me, this is a great box to kind of showcase that range of beer styles that we're able to do as well. So hopefully people are enjoying their way through the Hopton there. And so we'll start on the Sequoia shortly as well. Charlotte or Rebs, as we're going on, did you have anything to mention at all between beers that we've got coming up? I know we had some events in Sheffield recently, and we're out and about this weekend as well.
Yeah, we've got, so we're in loads of events actually, which is really nice to be back out there at loads of different venues. So we have got our monthly tasting at Booze Hound in Sheffield tonight, and we ran one last night as well because it's proved to be really popular, which is really nice. So we do like a food and beer pairing club there. And then we've got Birmingham Craft Beer Festival this weekend. So Charlie and James will be there pouring all weekend. So if anyone's Birmingham way, pop by and see them. And then I think we've got a couple of tap takeovers and Meet the Brewers in Liverpool coming up as well. I think on the 30th of September and the 1st of October. Is that right? Yeah. So yeah, so we're kind of getting out and about again, into different places and different cities. So like we said last time, if there's anywhere you want us to come and do a tap takeover or come and do a meet the brewer, any venues, then just give us a shout, let us know, because we're always happy to kind of come to new places and come and meet people. But yeah, it's been good to be out and about, pouring and being in reality really, and like meeting people. It's been quite nice. So yes.
Yeah, certainly has. And actually, the ones you mentioned there, particularly September 30th down at in Birmingham, it will actually be myself and Rebecca and Charlotte all being there at the Colmore. So and that's when we. Pardon?
Yeah, sorry, I forgot the Colmore. Of course, we've got two in Liverpool those days, and then we've also got we're doing a tutor tasting at the Colmore on the 30th as well. So yeah, trying to split ourselves across as many places as possible. So we'll be putting stuff up on social media about that in the next couple of days. But that should be a fun one to come to.
Yeah. Effectively, it'll be this, but in person. So for any of you in Birmingham, please come and join us, and we'll actually have some real life beers down there as well. And nice to see Mark there enjoying it. Normally stay away from something at 3.8, but I've been enjoying the table beer as well. So thank you for that. I'm glad. And again, with all these things, it's always trying new styles that you might not try otherwise. Is really part of the aim of this. It's why we like doing all these different ones as well. So okay, so Ian's coming to see us in Ipswich as well. And which places was it in Liverpool, Rebs? I've seen Steve's just asking there.
So we're at the Denby Castle and the West Kirby Tap. So I think it's the I'm just trying to remember which is which.
Denby's on the 30th.
That's right. Denby Castle on the 30th of September, and then the West Kirby Tap on the 1st of October. They're the Liverpool venues.
Yeah, perfect. So hopefully see some of you around there. Again, follow all of our social media channels. And actually, we are looking for someone to manage our social media on that as well. So if you know anyone, if anyone's interested, please check out our social channels, as we are actually hiring at the moment too. So you'll be joining Rebecca and Charlotte on the marketing team. So yeah, if you know anyone, if you're interested, just drop us over a line, check out socials, and you'll find all of our details on there. So yeah, thank you for that, guys. And so we'll crack on talking about the next one. Another Thornbridge classic again here, the Sequoia. We're going to go a little darker, a little stronger, but this time it's big American hops in this one as well. So we've got right in front of us, you'll see as we pour it out, that nice darker color. So it starts to be quite an inviting, as you'd expect, an amber color. And we take on the American style. So, these kind of more traditional cask amber style beers where you've got that sweetness in there. Maybe traditionally you'd see it with English hops. However, this time we've gone lots of big American hops. We've actually added a little bit of Australian in here as well. We've got a big hit of Galaxy in there too, just as we wanted to give it a little more kind of tropical, a little bit more of that pineapple mango hit to it. But for me, I really like this style where that sweetness starts to come through. It helps the balance with the big hop notes, and it starts to, I think, just gives you something a little extra in here as well. And Sequoia, named after the mighty tree. So it is a type of tree, and we're very lucky there is one up at Thornbridge Hall as well. So that's where the name comes from. We do an imperial version of this one called General Sherman, which is after the largest tree in the world as well. And so this then has an imperial version, but this just classic, on cask a lot. We bottle it, we keg it occasionally too, but just one of our real kind of go-to beers we'll bring out every few months and always goes down very nicely. So hopefully people are enjoying their way through the Sequoia. And what we'll do now, we'll start to open up the floor a little bit more because we've got Phil on the line here as well. So Phil, hopefully, you're able to sort of just tell us a little bit more about yourself. Would you like to talk about the beer first, or tell us a little bit about, how you come to be here?
I suppose we could start with that. Yeah, how I ended up where I am. I mean, how far do you go back? I guess I don't want to bore everybody. We started the brewery in December 2019, which was a pretty obviously unfortunate in some ways time to start a brewery, but at the same time, at least we had no no business to sort of be different from. You know, we literally got going just before Christmas with the first couple of beers, and after Christmas I sort of caught my breath because it had been a mental 6 months. Before that I was at Harveston Brewery. Before that I did the masters at Heriot Watt. So I did a couple of years at Harveston, left around about August time, spent a few months putting a brewery together here in Glasgow, and yeah, as I say, just got the first couple of beers out before Christmas 2019, thinking that I'd take January, February to sort of get myself together, and then sort of start hitting it in March, get out and see people and push the beers out. And of course, everything changed at that point. And the rest of the year, we were doing direct sales to people mostly around here, actually. The local kind of community, completely unexpectedly by me, really kind of took us under their wing, or, you know, took to us one way and another. And I spent a lot of time driving around Glasgow, running up and down tenement block flat steps, and getting the beer out to people of Glasgow. And that was really the only way we could get our name out. You know, there was no possibility of events. We couldn't get onto bars because they were all closed. So it was a weird time, obviously, for everybody. But yeah, it went all right, actually. It was just me, and I managed to sort of keep things rolling along. The plan changed slightly. The plan was always to do something a little bit different brewing wise, to offer something slightly different, to not jump in and do Citra, Galaxy, Mosaic, Simcoe, IPAs, pastry stouts, fruited sours, as I'm always at pains to point out, not because I don't like those things, because I really do. I love them just as much as anybody else. It was more that I felt they were already being done really well by lots of other people, and being kind of small with low overheads, it would be more interesting to sort of look to get into some of the nooks and crannies, and appeal to people who are looking for something a little bit different. I think Pete Brown used this analogy once about Sauvignon Blanc and Gewürztraminer. You know, you see bottle after bottle in the supermarket or wherever of Sauvignon Blanc, and then there's something like Gewürztraminer at the end, which is still a great wine, just it's not the one that everybody puts their hand on first. And we've always sort of tried to be that kind of thing at the end, that's interesting and a bit different, but still good quality. And I suppose being finding ourselves sort of servicing the local community a bit more sort of brought us more into the mainstream. In Glasgow, you kind of have to do a lager because that's what 99% of people really drink, you know. So quickly we got onto that, and generally sort of moved things a little bit more towards the mainstream, but still trying to remain true to that original vision. And that's kind of set the business model a little bit. And then fast forward to now, obviously pubs and bars are starting to open again, and are open, and we're sort of now seeing that side of the business pick up. We're trying to react accordingly. Yeah, that's kind of very much a fast forward through the last couple of years.
Yeah, and I mean, it's been like you say, a crazy time to set up, but at least you're here, you're still doing well. For if you haven't had the chance, anyone, to try any of Phil's other beers yet, Phil was kind enough to take me through a full tasting when we were down in London at a beer festival as well. And, you know, can very highly recommend across all of the different beers right across the range that we tried. So thank you for that again, Phil. It was great. And also, yeah, so where can you've got obviously a website, social media, you've got an online shop through your website?
Yeah, we do that. Yeah, we sell a lot of beer through the online shop. And as I say, now we're starting to find it a little bit easier to get our name out and about, and we're sort of seeing the beer go sort of a bit further afield. So there are a few kind of online places and great beer shops. It's a real pleasure to see our beers in. Beer Moth in Manchester being probably the one that jumps straight to mind, because for me that was always a real sort of beer mecca, where I sort of discovered some fantastic beers myself, and real kind of milestone beers for me in there. And so to have, I think they've got our full range at the moment, and that's a real honour really to be in there. So yeah, we're sort of finding ourselves in more and more places these days.
Fantastic. I saw actually you were tweeting about Beermoth the other day, and I mean it's got its reputation, and it is a fantastic place to have your beers in as well. And so actually, I mean, this isn't the first time that we've worked together really with you know, back when you were, you know, homebrewing and producing fantastic homebrew beers as well. You were the homebrew challenge champion at Thornbridge. So yeah, we've had a good history of styles and different things, and it's led effectively into this beer that we're brewing today. So we looked at redoing Raindrops and Roses, which was, would you mind telling us a little bit about that one?
Yeah, sure. That was quite a while ago now. It was when we just moved to Glasgow from London. Lived in London for 20 years or so. Moved up to Glasgow, and I wasn't working to begin with, and I had a shed with the new house, so I was brewing more. Had time on my hands and space to brew, unlike in a 3-bedroom terrace house in London where it was a painstaking job to get everything out and then put it back in again. I was able to sort of leave it all set up, and I really got stuck into brewing. And then that competition came up just at the right time, and it was inspired by my wife's birthday. She's a Belgian wit fan, and my daughter, who was only like 7 or 8 at the time, came up with the idea. I think she came up with the name Raindrops and Roses. And we thought, let's try a Belgian wit with rose petals in it. Not really thinking much about it at all, other than it sort of fit roughly with that kind of style. You know, it wasn't quite as crazy an idea as it first appeared. When you sort of start to look at how wits are put together, it actually made a bit of sense. So yeah, we brewed that for my wife's birthday, and it went down well. And that competition came along, and I wasn't 100% sure, but my wife encouraged me to sort of put it in. And I remember vividly having to go to the post office on a Saturday, having to find the only post office in Glasgow open at whatever time it was on a Saturday, because I hadn't realised it was a bank holiday Monday, and it was like the last half hour it was possible to enter it. So I raced to this part of Glasgow and put it in the post, and sure enough, a little bit of time later, coincidentally, I just started at Heriot Watt. It was like my first or second week, and I got the phone call to say that I'd been lucky enough to win, and it all went from there.
I mean, you know, it wasn't luck. I don't think. It was a fantastic beer, so it was certainly a worthy winner. And actually, we will be doing Raindrops and Roses next month as well. So it's one to look out for. We were keen to bring it back. So that's how we sort of opened up the discussions. And that may give you a bit of an insight into where the name came from. So together, this time we've now brewed Whiskers on Kittens. For those of you familiar with the song, you'll know, of course, it follows on from there. And so in keeping, we also wanted to do, you know, we did a wit previously. This time we've done a vice, but with a slight bit of a difference as well too. So we'll take the opportunity to try this one. And Phil, if you don't mind sort of talking us through a bit behind it, how you worked on the recipe. And I know you tried it on a pilot kit as well.
Yeah, we did a few pilot versions in the end, because we sort of toed and froed as you do with the idea. You know, the Germanic thing came with, I think it was Rob who said something about he was keen to do something Germanic, and then we thought, well, there's a nice little kind of link with Raindrops and Roses if we kind of keep it wheaty. And you know, we basically landed on this chocolate Dunkelweiss idea, and yeah, we did a few trials. It was not long after Ewan started, so up until February this year I was on my own, but just before, well, around Christmas last year, things were going pretty well, and I actually sold all the beer I had, and I didn't have time to brew any more because I was busy running around delivering it and whatnot. And it became apparent that I needed to get somebody in to help me. So I got my old colleague Ewan from Harveston in February, and it was kind of around that time that we were batting the ideas around, and it was kind of handy actually, because Ewan has a fair bit of experience with adding chocolate to beer and with this type of beer as well. So it was really nice that he kind of came on board with that knowledge and was able to straight away impart some really useful stuff. We were always keen, and Rob was very much of this opinion too, luckily, not to have over anything like too much chocolate. The chocolate was always going to be a really kind of subtle nuance, you know, very much just part of the complexity rather than front and center, which was kind of what we wanted as well. And we sort of, that bit of it was fairly straightforward, really, thanks to Ewan's having done this sort of thing a fair bit previously. The bit that took us a few attempts was actually getting the right yeast strain that gave us the right sort of ester, the right fermentation profile, because it's it's kind of the main thing with the beer, I think, really. You know, you've got to get the grain bill right and the right amount of chocolate. The hops aren't really an issue, but the yeast is really what drives this beer, I think. And we tried a few, some were just completely wrong, some were almost there, and then we tried this one. I think it was an omega strain in the end, and that just sort of gave us everything we needed, and the beer sort of came together pretty easily from there, really.
Yeah, fantastic. And I mean, so we've got the end result there for anyone who's tried it or not tried it yet. As you say, that chocolate edition is there, not to, you know, it doesn't want to be another sort of Cocoa Wonderland where it's got that big chocolate hit to it. It needs to balance in nicely. As you say, we've got the yeast strain correct, everything, all those esters are coming through, and it is all about balance. So I think certainly, you know, you and Rob were definitely on the same wavelength there when it was coming together with that and how we did it, and making it quite true to that traditional style, just with that little twist as well there. So I was enjoying this. We actually, Rebs mentioned we were down at Booze Hound last night, and so we were drinking this one as one of the beers that we did on the evening, and it went down fantastically again as well. So we thought we'd give people a bit of a treat, talking through it, and yeah, everyone enjoyed it. And the feedback, as often it is, you know, with styles that you don't see that commonly, is, oh, I'd never try this myself, you know, if I hadn't, but this is fantastic. I'm really pleased that I've tried this one. So hopefully it's the same for other people who maybe wouldn't try a chocolate Dunkelweiss straight off, but are now able to try one as well as part of the beer club too. So yeah, and it's always exciting to work and to try the styles with new breweries too that we haven't worked with yet, or, you know, in the form that you are now. And looking ahead, is there anywhere, you know, I mentioned, you know, we've seen you in London, of course, at the festival there, but are you at any more events? Is there anything coming up you can tell us about?
Well, we're at a very local event this weekend in Rooken Glen Park in Glasgow. I just dropped off a lot of beer there today. That's especially if the weather is like this on Saturday. We had a great day in Glasgow for weather today, and if it continues to Saturday, it's going to be a good one. But other than that, no, not really at the moment anything particularly lined up. I am hoping to arrange sort of tap takeover in certainly Edinburgh, London, possibly Manchester. We'll just sort of take it as it comes a little bit. You know, it's still very much a two-man band, and fitting these things in amongst everything else. Yeah. But yeah, at Brew London, it was a good indication as to the value of getting out and about and actually putting the beer in people's hands and enjoying the feedback and the immediacy of letting people try the beer and give you their, you know, absolutely honest reaction. It was brilliant. Luckily, it was positive, and more of that, the better, for sure. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking to do that between, I suppose, now and Christmas, and then again in the new year. But nothing specific on the cards.
No, fair enough. Well, hopefully we'll see you out and about at some anyway, if they do pop up too. So, and yeah, thank you for sort of talking us through a bit of the history as well. And you know, you don't have to stay around. Of course, if anyone has any questions over Phil while you're enjoying the beer, please pop them in the chat, and we can still keep reading through with those as well. And then after that, we'll look onto hay bale in just a second. But before, Dom, did you want to put anything in about the hay bale coming up, or about the Simple Things collab either?
Yeah, I mean, the Simple Things collab was great because obviously when I was putting together like a calendar of beers for the year of things we wanted to do for Beer Club and collaborations we wanted to do, and obviously Phil won this, you know, this collaboration with us in terms of the Homebrewer Challenge before I joined Thornbridge. But I was kind of going back through the archives of beers that we'd brewed, and I mentioned this one. I mentioned Raindrops on Roses to Rob, and Rob still says to this day that by far and away that was the best beer that won the homebrew challenge out of any of the years, and he was a really big fan of that. And Rob doesn't mince his words. He's drunk a lot of beer. He's judged a lot of competitions around the world and things like that. And yeah, he when he tasted that beer, he said that was the nailed on winner that year. So it was good to sort of bring it back, and then also to get back in touch with Phil, knowing that he now had a commercial brewery, and you say, how about we bring that back and do another collaboration? So it was a nice circle, really. So yeah, it's good that we've done it, and it'll be great for everyone to have Raindrops and Roses again in the box next month.
Yeah, perfect. I know. So, and thank you. Now we all know in advance as well about a bit more about it too. So that's handy for me next month as well. So when we can look back on this one, and then to go on to the next one from here as well. So we've got, as I say, we've got Michelle, we've got Matt from Lakes Brew Co. And we've got Hay Bale, which is our IPL here as well. So guys, if you don't mind, again, just tell us a little bit about yourselves, the brewery, how you're doing at the moment, and then a bit about the beer as well.
Hi guys, my name's Matt. I'm co-founder and head brewer at Lakes Brew Co. This is Michelle.
Hi.
Creative director and co-founder. So yeah, we've relatively been going a short time. Only been brewing for the last 6-7 weeks. Sort of founded out the back of last year. Used to work for quite a well-known brewery in the Lake District up until the start of COVID, and then found ourselves unemployed. So reformed again with a couple of friends and formed Lakes Brew Co. So
yeah, it's been going well. Really, a few hiccups trying to get set up and all that sort of stuff. With COVID and Brexit and everything in between. But it's been going really well, and we've just been brewing our first lot of beers, really.
Yeah, so we're just in a consistent spin of trying to build some type of core supply, specials and everything, and it's been really good support, especially even locally, Lake District and further afield. So predominantly at the moment we've only been able to sort of take care of our home turf sort of thing, make sure everyone's got beer around there, and yeah, hopefully in the not too distant future we can break out a little bit further. But it's really nice to be selling everything fresh, straight to local customers. It's good. So yeah, so it's been a big, especially after my previous employer, 15 years there, and then started lockdown last year, finding myself unemployed. And that it was if you had asked me pre-COVID would I start a brewery, I had no ambition of starting from scratch. I knew how much work was involved. I've been through too many things in it, but it's funny how these things change. And it's been a really good ride the last year. It's been amazing to to watch people like yourselves and everyone else out there deal through COVID, trade through COVID, and all of that. And really that was a big thing for building our business, and our plan and all that was, based on what we're seeing out there, and how, no one had ever told us that pubs would ever be shut in a lifetime, and then all of a sudden they are. So it was important that we had packaging on site from the start, and a few other things. So if it was to happen again, we could hopefully ride it out. So yeah. It's been a sort of interesting year, sort of, watching by and building this, because I had a quite a hefty lockdown, so I had a year of gardening leave to sit back and do gardening, I suppose. But but this year's definitely on the up, and it was great to finally we had hoped to be up brewing earlier, but once again, as soon as we decided our brew kit was going to be shipped, a boat got parked across the Suez Canal for the first time ever, and then this happened, and then so we had a story on that. I'm trying to get our kit across from China, and that we then decided we'll beat shipping. We're going by train, so we're all sorted. Right, and then we got kicked off the train, and we got put on the train, and then finally they come to us and said, you're not allowed to ship it because your HMRC code is the same as nuclear reactor parts. So that was the end of that. Apparently new sanctions on Russia wouldn't let our nuclear reactor pass through them to come by train to Cumbria. So it's one of those things. So we lost 3 or 4 weeks on that, and then we ended up going back by boat. So it was worth a try, but yeah, we didn't get anywhere. But yeah.
That's an unusual way to have your brewery slowed down, to be fair. I've not heard that one yet. Shipping problems, yeah, but not people thinking you got nuclear reactors trying to cross. So
well, that was the worst thing. Then they turned around and said, you can do it, but you're going to have to pull everything to bits and then itemize every part on the whole container. So I thought, yeah, it's probably not going to work out well. So yeah, but everything's in and working well, and we're just, yeah, trying to get out as much beer to as much people as possible at the moment. So yeah,
brilliant. And yeah, I mean, you know, not to dwell too much on the backstory, but you have had almost a phoenix-like rise, really, from where you were to, you know, where you are now. So it is fantastic to see back up and brewing, you know, going on to produce some fantastic beers and everything else, I'm sure. Actually getting asked about coming to see you in the Lakes, you know, where exactly, you know, base-wise, but also tap room, everything like that. What can you do for people coming to see you at the moment? Is there anything, or is it in the future?
So yeah, I mean, we're based in Kendal, so we're about 5 minutes walk away from the actual train station, so just over the bridge, which is really convenient if people just want to jump on the train. But we have plans for the tap room. It's obviously going to be based within the brewery itself, so it's quite a small thing. We're hopefully going to be doing like maybe a pop-up, probably once a month to start with, where we can maybe get a food truck and sort of do a weekend sort of job on it. So, but of course, we're open for people to come in and see us. We're quite happy to have chats with people, show them brewery, and you know, we've got off sales as well. So yeah, if anyone's passing or just wants to pop in,
and yeah, there's usually someone on site as well. The beer fridge is not far to the brewery, so there's always one of us that'll give you a quick tour through and show you around and all that. But yeah, so we're doing off sales here. So yeah, if anyone's passing through at all and wants some beer direct from source, definitely come and see us.
Oh, fantastic. I'm sure, you know, of course, everyone on here is big beer fans, and so I'm sure if any of them find their way out there, they'll definitely be popping you a visit, as will I for sure next time I'm back up there as well. So that'd be great. And then, like you say, we'll be following you on socials and things as well to see the monthly pop-ups and the food as well too. So sounds like, I mean, any excuse to visit the Lakes, of course, is always taken. So just a nice addition as well to make sure we have great beer too. And talking of, would you like to talk us through the beer we've got here? Do you want to talk us through the name, how that came about, and then the beer itself?
So basically,
we don't want to relive that.
No, so basically starting off with the style, the IPL, it was sort of like going through your playbook and Thornbridge playbook and trying to find something that Thornbridge had never brewed and whatever. Because my God, the email chain just bounces back. Yeah, we've got one of them in tank now. We've got a variant of this there. So it was quite nice. And I've always enjoyed, I've played around with the style a couple of times. So it was nice to, and I know you guys are pretty hot on your yeast over there, your lager fermentation, stuff like that. So it was really nice to brew that style. And yeah, lo and behold, the name Hay Bale pops up, which was based back really, I think 2018 Peakender. Good year it was and all. Yeah. So in a past life, I was a New Zealand representative for judo and all of that. So I don't usually just throw myself around for, light entertainment and stuff like that. I'm used to that through my judo career and stuff like that. And, we're at Thornbridge having a good time. It was Michelle's birthday as well. Kids were there, we're all happy. There's hay bales around. Start dive rolling hay bales. So line 1 up, yeah, that's nice. At 2 or 3, yeah, I'm still like I'm 15 again. So I got up to 6. Yeah, it was getting a bit tight. 7. Yeah, on to the 8th. And then I pulled a 9th into it, which apparently my 4-year-old boy at the time slightly moved out of alignment for me. So as I was airborne, trying to leap 8 or 9 hay bales at that point, he had scuppered it by like 2 centimeters, which made me plow shoulder first. Or I clipped one of the hay bales with my shoulder and then plowed straight in. And of all years, it was the driest year. And the ground was rock solid. Any other year, I would have just been mud pile, brilliant, brilliant. Got up, rolled away. No. So I thought, yeah, that doesn't feel too good. And I've broken a lot of bones in my life as well. I've not got a good record on that. So I know that feeling. So if I took myself to St. John's tent, they were a bit like, yeah, just walk it off. I managed to get me top off and they're like, oof. Yeah, that's not really where it should be. To which they answered me, we've only got 1 ambulance and we don't want to waste it on you. So they said, could you get a whip around with your mates and you could get maybe a taxi and that could take you to Chesterfield Hospital. And the only person I knew at the time was Dom from Thornbridge, was actually on a sober stint. So he was fine to drive. So Dom come to the rescue, boof, in his car. We're approaching the hospital. He realizes even for temporary parking, you have to pay for it. So he kicks me out at the front gate and says, you don't mind walking. So off I went, dragged myself up there, got stuck for nearly 2.5 hours in a queue at the hospital. Finally, when I got to the front, they saw the extent of the dislocation, took me into another room, and of all things, I sat in a room and there was a guy in the room next to me for nearly 4 hours straight, chanted 3 pints of Carlsberg, please. That's all he said over and over again. And then I got some morphine, and then just hearing that 3-4 pints of Carlsberg over and over again. And yeah, to which they bandaged me up. When they realized I wasn't from the area, they were great. We don't have to deal with you anymore. Just get yourself out the door and see your hospital on the way home. And yeah, I got out of there. Done a meet the brewer the next day.
Spend the rest of the weekend at Beacon.
Yeah. So of course, hay bale was born. And I was hoping for a reenactment this evening, but the light wasn't great, and it wasn't good for hay bales this evening. So yeah, I'm just
we'll throw you on the
sit in my conservatory instead and have the liquid form.
Well, we were, of course, more than happy to use your pain and suffering for a nice thing. So
I tell you what, it's out of all the injuries I've done, that wasn't the best of dislocations. Yeah. One saving grace is I just put a fully automated brew kit to Hawkshead at the time at the new site. So I only had to push buttons that next week. So I managed to survive with 1 arm. I know how Thornbridge felt for all those years. Oh, you guys were just sat there pushing buttons,
Our brewers will tell you very different.
I've seen Tom.
Yeah, sometimes the air conditioning breaks, it's hard. So
Tom ordered a t-shirt on mine recently. I know all his secrets.
Well, with that, we'll tuck in as well. So for those of you who managed to hold out and not quite go into it yet, we'll pour this one out. And if you don't mind just sort of talking us through a little about the actual beer itself, what we've got in there, how you decided on using these specifics with it as well?
I think one of the big things for the balance going forward was using the bock yeast and fermenting that at 18 sort of thing, brought that balance of malt and hops to it. It was sort of, there was the toying whether to go cleaner, crisper and all of that, but it was trying to, especially up at 6.5%, was, it can end up at that being too clean on the base and just sort of out of balance. And I think the bock yeast has been very good in this, in the balance. And I like that. Talus was used in it as well, which is quite distinct, and I can never pin exactly what Talus brings to the combinations and all the hoppings, but it's there's something very distinct about that hop. That sort of, I can't even pinpoint the exact flavor that I get from it, but yeah, it's nice. It's it's a bit cheeky at 6.5%. It could especially a nice hot summer's day on that.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I was enjoying this one the weekend as well, my first can, and I put it in my big Lucas Stein, and it drinks very, very easily. It's got that big flavor, like you say, but it goes down very nicely. So
no, I think it's that really good malt and that yeast character. That's really good fermentation on it. Not too cold, not too hot. It's really left a good base for the hops to shine through on.
Yeah, no, good. And I can see a few already saying they've been enjoying their way through it as well. So yeah, thank you for that. And
you're getting getting old though, Matt.
And that as well.
This was Brewer Dom for clarification.
Yeah.
Brewer Dom.
That's it.
Giant veg.
I wash my hands of that situation.
Yeah.
Not me dropping you off outside the hospital and saying, walk yourself in there. He'd probably do it if you had a broken leg, let alone a broken arm. But
it did make me laugh with Dom as well, because he was very kind in telling me he'd pick me up in the morning and all that. And you know what? He switched his phone off, and I don't think he got out of bed till midday.
He'd not even been drinking though. That's the thing.
No, that was when he was sustaining for doctor's orders, and but it was to that point, just seeing that little ambulance sat there, and there's no way I was getting in it unless I tried to jump another 9 bales with my other shoulder, I don't think. And it was the words of the surgeon, the guy that I met in there, and he went, there's not much I can do for you. The only way I could do something for you is if you brought your arm in a bag. And I was like, all right. Walk it off then. So Peakender next year. Hay bale 2 at our spot.
We'll do 10
we can have the big launch at Peakender. Literally,
we'll definitely do a rebrew.
It'll be fireworks in the hay bales a lot. Sparklers.
Fire.
Just said it fire. Get the risk assessment sorted now.
Jump over those on fire hay bales. See if you can beat yourself last time.
Saturday night.
Dom, our brewer, is often in charge of a lot of our risk assessments as well. So,
I know he is. He likes to tell you at most occasions.
He does.
Very proud of that.
I'm sure he'll sign off 10 burning hay bales, so don't worry. We'll get it through.
Then I can withdraw my law case from the 2018 Peakender, then if he signs that.
Oh dear. Well, Dom, did you have anything to add on from how we came about with the collab and everything?
I mean, I suppose the only thing to say is I think Matt and Michelle will probably play things down in terms of their history, but if you if you guys have got time, then by all means check out Lakes, and you'll see that Matt, Michelle, Steve and Paul have got some serious pedigree in the world of brewing and sales and marketing and various other channels as well. So they are very experienced. They know what they're doing, and there's a reason why. I messaged Michelle the other day to send her, I'll send her some beer up, and Michelle was like, "Oh, that's great, because we haven't even got enough of our own beer to go around the team at the moment because everything's sold." And it's not like it's not like they've got a pretty small kit. They're brewing on a decent sized kit and have sold everything pretty quickly because of their reputation and because of how good their beers are and things like that. So it'd be well worth all of your time to seek them out and see what they're doing up there.
Yeah. And is there anywhere, in the same vein as talking with Phil, there's anywhere we can find you coming up? Is there any sort of special beers coming out? Anything you can suggest to look out for?
We've just released a single hop double IPA called Nectaron, Lost in Nectaron. So it's one of the new varieties out in New Zealand. I forget what the name was, something 4337 or something. Yeah, so it's quite an intense. So just released that yesterday. Canned yesterday, so it's online now. We're at Rivington's Farm Festival coming up at the end of the month. We're across in Leeds tomorrow morning. We're doing a little tap takeover at Nomadic Brewery and brewing with those guys tomorrow. So girls, I should say. Yeah, so it's a busy one. So just trying to get as much in as possible, but yeah,
without killing ourselves, because there's like 5 of us, so it's sort of balancing it off between that and family and brewing and all of that sort of stuff. But yeah, it's been great. I mean, we're at Liverpool Craft Beer Expo, you guys were there, and of course at Leeds the other week. It's just really nice to be back out. So like Ribs was saying, it's like like just being out and about with everybody and just sort of seeing everyone enjoying beer again together, and it's just sort of it's sort of really nice, and hopefully it'll keep going, and next year it'll be bigger and better than ever, really.
So it's still hard to believe we've only been brewing for sort of 6-7 weeks, because it's been a good few weeks and good support, and just trying to balance things and not let too many people down or overpromise.
But we are trying. The next few weeks, I think, hopefully we're looking at trying to get a bit more out and about, sort of out of the Cumbria, and hopefully we'll have a few more beers to share, if you will, outside. And I think that's one thing that's been quite encouraging within Cumbria itself in the Lake District, is just having that people actually embracing different styles and things like that, which is because of course it's been quite traditional within its cask. And
it's been a very big swing even in the last year through there, because historically it's a lot of free houses still in Lake District and that, but it's been a predominantly cask led sort of market, a lot of walkers, tourism, stuff like that. But it seems people reevaluate, people were trying more things last year through lockdown, online ordering through lots of different people, and it's just like there's so much renewed enthusiasm for all styles across, not just one. So it's really nice to have, because cask, is one of my favorite things. It's one of my passions as a brewer and all that, but it's quite nice to see as well the keg balance as well around, because notoriously you had a local offering for cask, but everything was just big multinationals for kegs. So it's really nice that a lot more people are investing in that now, and really trying on that. So it's one of those sort of downsides sometimes to living in a very tourist heavy sort of area, is you have less of that local support on your local bars and that, so they haven't tried as hard to engage and keep customers, because they can always be of the opinion, well, if a new tourist is through tomorrow, they'll drink it or they'll try that. So I think that's changing. People are really looking at what they're offering on their bars and stuff. It's really, really good. So, yeah.
Well, fantastic. And again, yeah, people will be checking out online, I'm sure, afterwards. And actually just had some mention there about people getting your beers online there. Dan's just said he's had some Lakes Brew Co online. So yeah, I'm sure more people will be checking them out. I certainly will be trying as many of them as possible when you release them too. So.
There's a question there from Alan.
Yeah,
we only have one cask beer out at the moment, so we have a 3.5% cask pale ale, which so we're trying to keep it tight within the cask, very manageable, fresh out there. So we'll be releasing probably a special a month on cask as well, but at the moment we're concentrating on the core pale, but there will be darker offerings later as we get into the colder months as well. But
more seasonal sort of specials every now and then. So.
Just trying to manage the balance between things. So
brilliant. Good. Well, yeah, thank you for talking us through as well. It's always appreciated. And like I say, I know people will be excited to try them as well. So for the rest of the box, we have one more beer here as well. And actually, you'll notice tasting this one, we're going to go down slightly in ABV from the hay bale. But this one's got much more of a real bitterness on the finish. And so I wanted to try this after the IPL, which is a little softer. It's got that real, obviously, look, as we mentioned, it's that softer, that drinkability. And then this one finishes really well. So as a nice rounding out to the tasting, this one, I think, works well. So it is a big pale ale. It's packed with loads of different hops in here. You know, we're taking a little bit of everything, some Simcoe, we've got Nelson, we've got all the really exciting ones that we love in here. And originally this was actually brewed in tribute to Simon Johnson. So who's a friend to many people at Thornbridge, wrote a fantastic blog, Reluctant Scooper, where he, you know, talked all things beer and put a very, you know, his own unique twist on it as well. And as part of that, he wrote the Craft Beer Manifesto. And he specified that craft beer could only be brewed with distilled otters tears. So unfortunately, he did pass a few years ago. And so we did a beer on cask in his memory. And it's actually been a really popular one for us. People have, asked it on cask over time. And we wanted to put it in can as well for the first time too. So one with a bit of poignancy, one that means a lot to us and to a lot of the people at Thornbridge who had known him. But it leads us into having something, hopefully that everyone enjoys as well. And with it, having the tribute still on the can and everything else as well. So people might go and look a bit more about him and his writings about beer as well from a few years ago. But it brings us to what we hope will be a well-enjoyed pale ale. I mentioned at 6%, so a little stronger than sort of Jaipur. It's really getting up there, hugely punchy. It's got that nice, light, low color Maris Otter. It's all we're using as a base for this. And it does help to balance out that big hoppy bitterness here too. So you'll start to drink it through, you'll instantly get that big aroma starting to come straight in. And then as you go through, I say it's all about the balance, but with a nice bitterness on it. I drank this one again at the weekend, just after the hay bale. And I thought it suited it really nicely to do it in that order, to drink them through. And I think it works quite well as a sort of finishing beer for, for the evening, for the tasting as well. So one to try, and as I say, no pressure. I'm sure no one's been smashing through all the beers as we've gone through the last hour, but hopefully you've enjoyed some new styles that we've tried here. And before we pop off, Dom, did you have anything else you wanted to bring up, mention anything coming along that you wanted to talk about? Or
no, I think we've got the October, November, and December boxes all lined up now, and there's some interesting beers coming up. There's some great collabs. There's obviously some more classics, some more bottle condition beers, and then the December box will be fairly seasonal and quite punchy. There's a lot of new beers. The same thing as we've been doing. I've got to be honest. I need to sit down in the next 2 weeks and start working out what we're going to do next year. But these things come around pretty quickly. But we will continue to brew new beers. We'll continue to collaborate with old friends in the brewing world, but also upcoming new breweries as well. That's part of what this whole experience is about. We want to bring back some of our oldest recipes. We want to collaborate with people that have inspired us as well. Some of you might have seen, last year we had a plan to do a number of the year of beer on cask, and it was all based around brewing with a lot of traditional breweries. So obviously I've got some experience. I used to work for Adnams, but there was an Adnams collab, which is the last one that came out in March last year. But we had Tim Taylor's and Harvey's and some real old school brewers lined up to do some collaborations with, and hopefully we'll be able to bring some of those back in small pack format next year as well. So we'll continue to make it interesting as much as we can. But yeah, the next 3 months look pretty good as it is, and we'll continue to hopefully bring new beers out to you next year as well.
Perfect. And Charlotte, I know we sort of touched on the events. Do you have anything else that we'd missed or skipped, or anything you wanted to highlight at all there?
We do have one coming up in Nottingham as well, hopefully in October. So if that's close to anyone, I think it's at the Dog and Parrot. So if anyone knows of that or wants to pop down, that'd be brilliant. Perfect.
Have we got a date yet, or is it TBC?
I think it's the 7th.
Okay, fantastic. And again, yeah, it'll be on our socials. So hopefully, as the one Charlotte's mentioned in Nottingham and the ones that Rebs mentioned earlier, we will see everyone out and about over the next few months as we do start to get further afield as well. So really sort of working through all the beers this evening. As always, thank you all very much for joining us, and particularly, you know, Michelle, Matt and Phil, thank you all very much for coming along, talking us through all the beers, the breweries, the history. Always really interesting to learn a bit more, and appreciate your time and of course your knowledge with the beer making as well. So hope everyone enjoyed it. Again, hopefully, again, for those in Birmingham, 3 of us will be down there certainly, so maybe see you all there. If not, we'll see you for the next month beer club. Enjoy the rest of the evening and enjoy the rest of the beers, and good night. Yeah, cheers to everyone. Thank you very much.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers.
We have an after party now.
You can't.